This is a short webinar, the Map Widget, and I want to do it in a technical way. So I'm going to guide you in building a dashboard containing a Map Widget. So we will see how to properly configure a Map Widget within a dashboard. This is Nunzia from Italy, from Bologna exactly. I am a consultant and I am Knowage expert, and I'll guide you in this webinar. So our goal will be to set up the map widget within a dashboard. So we will focus on how to plot business data over a map using the dedicated map widget within an interactive composite analytical document, also known as cockpit or dashboard. These are all synonyms, so if you say dashboard or you say cockpit or you say composite analytical document, it's the same. This also means that to have the possibility that the geographical elements of a map are connected to the other widgets of the dashboard and vice versa. So this interaction within widget is very effective, and we will see how to configure it inside the dashboard as well. How it looks like, just to have in mind where we are going. So this is an example of a dashboard or a cockpit. You see that inside the dashboard there are several elements. For instance, a title, map widget, HTML cards, charts widgets. Of course, you cannot understand which is it in an HTML or a charts widgets, but you will see later how to choose among them. For now, let's focus on the map widget. So we suppose that we are a technical user, an administrator or a developer one, and consider that we are inside the edit mode of the dashboard itself. We see that the map widget shows these three dots on the left side, the bottom left side of the widget itself. And if you pass the mouse on it, this list of buttons shows up, and you have the edit widget button. So if you click on it, you enter the configuration window of the map widget itself. So we entered the map widget configuration, and you have three tabs: the layers, the style, and the cross tab. Of course, the most important for configure a map widget is the layers tab. And here you have all the layers that lean on the each one leans on a data set. In particular, they must be a geographical data sets. And you see that you have the add layer at the top right corner of the layers box, where you can click on it and you can associate and look for the dataset you're going to hook to the dashboard. And for each dataset, you have three important buttons. There are metadata, the layer style, and the delete dataset. You have, of course, more options, and you want to say if it's a target data set, or you want it to set it visible by default, or you want to set it static so it doesn't change or it is affected by 3D interactions. And here at the bottom you have the background layer, and you have to choose if you want to show also the map behind, and 99% of the time you want it to show the map behind, so it's mostly always enabled. A few more words here. If we click on open metadata section, the metadata box opens. And here you have, it's a crucial point, because here you have to specify the the column that contains the coordinates, the couple, latitude and longitude, or vice versa. So inside your dataset, there must be one column, which is a string type, an attribute, which must contain the pair latitude longitude, which will be used by the engine to create the map, and of course associate the measures and all information related to the map. So this is very crucial part for the map widget. Here you have to specify the column containing the couple, latitude and longitude, and if you click on it, you can choose among latitude or longitude, or vice versa, longitude, latitude, according to the column that you have inside your dataset. So take care to know which is the couple. I mean, if the latitude is first and then there is the longitude and vice versa. Once you have selected this, you see that you have right below all the fields contained inside your dataset are listed just right below, and for each one you can choose if there are some measures, which aggregation function you want to use on them, you want to apply on them. If you want which measures or attribute you want to be shown on detail, it means that you want to be shown on a tooltip, and which one you want to be shown directly on the map, and which one you want to be shown as a filter. And here there is some examples here. Another important part that you have to configure properly is the style one, because here you have to choose the visualization type, which if you want to use markers or you want to use colors, areas, and in this example we use the circles ones, where the markers are also some images, are helped by the image, an image we will see later. You have to set up the radius size, the font size, which font color you want, the background color, and a preview is shown here on this little box at the end of the row. So all your settings are shown here, summed up here. Here you select which markers you want. In my environment, we have some images like the cars that are crashing. We set the scale of the image because we don't want to be bigger or smaller enough to be suitable according to your map. And here we go. The final tab, not final, sorry, but it's another important tab you have to configure is the style tab. But don't mistake, because this is the style tab associated to the box containing the map. This is the style of the widget itself, so it doesn't affect the map itself inside the map. I mean, we are not here, we are not configuring the map itself, we are just giving some style to the box containing the map. So if we want to put some title, if we want borders, if we want some padding, if we want a little shadow to highlight the widget, if we enable the screenshot, and etc. The last tab is for the cross navigation configuration, which means that you can enable the map to be interactive. In terms of a cross navigation, it means that you can click on the map and you navigate to another external document to see other information, another analysis. So you can cross between documents. So I propose you to do a little exercise together. I will explain here, And then we will see how I'll show you how to do it using the Knowage platform. So let's follow together the main steps. So the example here is, let's suppose we want to monitor the number of car accidents occurring in New York City. So here it is the the goal, how we want the dashboard to look like. We want to configure a map widget to put some selectors and to have a charts summing up the number of injured people, for instance. And let's see how to do it. The first thing to do is, we take it easy. We pretend we are unskilled, so we just need an Excel file or CSV file with good properties, and we can start. Good properties means that what I said before, we need that the datasets contain a column reflecting the pair longitude, latitude, or vice versa. So we need that the dataset contains one attribute that must be used as a geographical attribute. And of course, the preliminary step is to log in inside the environment. So I invite you to download the Knowage installer using the link available on the website. Defining a dataset, it's a fundamental that the XLS and CSV file, I said until the end, that it's very mandatory that the file contains geographical information. And in the example, I show you that the location, for instance, the location attribute contains exactly the latitude and the longitude that we are going to use to create our New York City dashboard. Where to load your file? Supposing we logged in the environment, you see that there is this section called Data Provider, and you have the menu item dataset. If you click on dataset, you enter the dataset list and you get this red plus icon where you can configure and add your dataset. When you click on this red plus icon, you are asked to fill in the detail form, which all the fields that are marked with the asterisk is mandatory, required. So we give a label, a name, and a description to the data set. We we specify that this dataset is technical and the category is, for instance, geography. We switch to the type tab where we say that we want to load a file dataset, and here this window appears. Where you browse your folder, personal folders, you upload the file, and then you click on next. Once you click on next, it starts to tell you, okay, I recognize these columns. For each column, it is duplicated because for each column, it wants to know which type it is, if it's a double, if it's an integer, what it is. And the field type, if it's a measure or if it's an attribute or if it's geographical attribute. You have to be sure that this association is well done. Sometimes Knowage is pretty smart, but sometimes it put some numbers, it has measures, but those numbers maybe you want it to be treated as an attribute. For instance, most of times the year, which is of course an integer, it is translated, it is mapped by Knowage into a measure, but of course you want to treat it as an attribute. So take care to check if the association is exactly as you want it to be. If you are fine with this association, if you are not, you can use the combo box here to change. And once you're done, you click on validate. And then you preview and save the data set and check the metadata just associated here on the metadata button. And again, you notice that there are mostly attribute and measures, but you need at least one field to be treated as a special attribute. And here we go. Once we have the data set, we enter the document browser, and you click, for instance, on one folder. This functionalities tree it can't be empty, okay? But if you download the platform using the and you follow the installer, after some steps, the installer asks you if you want some demo documents, and you click on yes. If you click on yes, you have some demo documents in your environment, so you can have some tips and hints looking at those demo documents contained on your platform. So we suppose that you clicked on that yes, and you have the analytical documents folder. Here you have again this plus icon. You click on it and it asks you to choose among generic document and cockpit, and you click on cockpit. Here we start designing the dashboard. The first thing to do is to click on this data configuration button, because here we are going to add and upload the dataset we just created. We click on save, and then again we click on add widget, because here we have the list of all configurable widgets inside the dashboard. And you can notice that we have the map widget. So we select it. As we see earlier, we click on add layer. We add our dataset. We change, if we need, longitude and latitude accordingly to our dataset. We click on the style, we go down because we want to specify which attribute will be shown on detail, which one will be shown on the map. We leave the default value for the aggregation function if we are fine with that, or we changed if we want count, average, whatever. We move to the style tab because here we are going to custom the map widget in terms of title, borders, and etc. And as final steps, we will put inside the dashboard some more extra widgets. Just for example, we will insert a chart, a selector, and a text widget. When we're done configuring all the dashboard, we click on the save. It asks us to insert a label and the name for the cockpit. Once we saved, we can execute it and then exploit the dashboard itself. So this is our goal. The first step, we need an XLS file. And here it is mine. I have this accidents limited and New York City XLS, where I have this a couple of fields that is called location, that contains my couple latitude and longitude. Okay, so the first step to do is, of course, to have a proper data set. And the second step to do is to load this data set inside the platform. So here we go. We are here. We logged in as demo admin. And if you exploit this menu here, you notice that the administrator menu appear, which is divided into sections. There is the data provider section, the profile management section, and etc. The first section is the data provider. which is of course contains the data source configuration page. And here we are interested into the dataset 1. If I enter the dataset, it lists me all the datasets available. And I click on my red plus icon because here I want to load and create my dataset. And I called it, for instance, New York City. Traffic accidents. For simplicity, and copy and paste, and the scope for me must be technical. It means that I'm creating something for myself. I look for something like geography. Here it goes. And we move to the type tab. Here we say that we want to create a file dataset type. We browse our folder. You look for your XLS file. You open it, and then you click on upload. Then you click on next. If the file is not correct, of course it gives you an error and you cannot move on. You cannot go on. But here the XLS was fine, and we can click on next. And here we have all the columns contained inside the XLS file are listed. You see the ID, the bra, the zip code, the latitude, the longitude, location on street, etc., etc. Each one is double because Knowage wants to know which type it is. In this case, I can choose integer, for instance, just to do something different because actually it is an integer. But I don't want it to be treated like Knowage treated like a measure. I want to treat it like an attribute, and you can see I can change from measure to attribute. I go on and look for my location to field because I want to use that one as a spatial attribute. Once I checked all the fields, I click on validate. It says okay. I click on preview to see that everything is fine, and I finally click on save. I check metadata again because here I can choose later. Suppose I close the dataset, look for something else, and I go back and say, okay, I remember that I wanted to change something, some metadata I mistook, and I want the ID to be treated like a measure. Okay, I can do it later. I can change, so use this metadata button to change metadata if you understand that you need some field to be treated like a measure or an attribute or a spatial attribute, whatever. Then you remember, I stress it. Once you change, for instance, I change the zip code to attribute, and I save. This is not enough because you have to save the entire dataset. Now we recognize the changements. Otherwise, it will not because it stops here. You click on save, but the dataset itself is not saved, so the changements are not taken. So change, save, and save again. Okay, we have our dataset, so we can create the dashboard. And I go inside one folder. If I don't have any folder, you can create one folder using the functionalities management. You go here, maybe you have something here. If you didn't select the demo, the demo documents, so the environment is completely empty. You can click on these first node functionalities. You click on the plus icon, you say another folder, my folder, whatever. You say that you want to be visible only to you, but it's enough because here we are logged in as admin. And you see my folder appear. If you go here, inside the documents development section, you see that my folder appear, and here we can create the cockpit. Okay, we are into the edit mode of the dashboard, and here it goes. We have the cockpit menu, where we have the clear cache. If you see that something happened in the execution mode, or we need the dashboard to be clean, because of course he's using some cache to improve performance. Sometimes it's better to click on this clear cache to clean it. And we have also the the data configuration button, the generical configuration section, and the add widget, and the final is the save button. First step, data configuration. We associate the dataset. We look for hours, which is the New York City traffic accident. We click on save, then we click on save. And the second thing to do is to click on the add widget and select the map widget. Okay, you see it's all empty. The first thing to do is to add a layer. It recognizes there is one dataset, and of course we choose this one. If we added on the data configuration section more than two datasets, we will be listed two here. We have just one, so we select the only one that we load inside the dashboard. And you notice here that you have the three buttons. Actually, these two are the most important, because here in the metadata, we are going to say that we are going to use the location 2 as a special attribute. So you see that it recognizes immediately because we selected as so inside the datasets. And I have to change the coordinates because my first enter is the latitude. Then I go down because I'm going to select the number of accidents and to be shown as on the map. I leave the enable base layer enabled. The aggregation functions, I leave it to be the sum because I'm not interested here in something else. And I move to the style button here, style section, because I say that I want the clusters. I choose some font color, for instance, some dark red. I choose a light, very light background color. I increase a little bit the radius size. The font size, if you want to be a little bit more bigger, we choose, for instance, an image marker. I select, for instance, the car collisions. I say choose, and I rescale it to be a little bit suitable for my map, and I know that my scale is 5. I start clicking on save because I want to show you the result. I have to zoom, so don't worry if you if you don't see nothing appear at the beginning, because we have to zoom. We resize the widget. We move, you see that there are the 3 dots that I show you in the very first slide. This first one is for dragging and moving the widget inside the dashboard. I choose a right location. For instance, I leave a little bit of space up for the title. And here I resize here and I'm fine. I put a title. I use the text, for instance, and say something like New York City. Traffic accidents, something that remind me or what is going to be shown. I resize, put some style here. I say I want some Arial, for instance. And okay, I click on save and I resize. I can choose to set the style specifically for each widget. If you want some style, but in particular, if you want borders, if you want something that gives me some highlight on the widget, or I can choose to add general options here. And you see that I have the possibility to put some background color. And in my case, in our case, it can be a good idea to put some background color to highlight the widgets themselves. And I move to the widget style because this is going to be generic. So for each widget, and I put some radius, border radius here, because you notice that thanks to this option, every widget will show this radius on the corner, on each corner. Let me add some more widgets. For instance, a chart. I select the bar chart. I go to the structure. I say that I want some bar chart where the categories are the graph. And I'm going to sum the pedestrians injured, the cyclists injured, and the motorists injured. And I remove the show value because sometimes they are a little bit confusing. For each measure, we can choose the name. We can change the name because these are going to be more readable. I move to the configuration option because here I say that the bars are going to be horizontal. I want some legend. I want to put it on the top, for instance. I remove this one. I select some colors. And most of all, I want it to be stacked. So if I want these three measures to be summed up together, because I want each bar to, and for each bar to sum pedestrians, to cyclists, and to motorists injured. And here it is the result. You see that for each bar, my measures are summed up thanks to this tagged option. And I have the legend here, which tells me which area is the color associated to each, let's say, type, each category. And I can use it to shut it down and focus on the others, and etc. One more select, let's say, useful widget is the selection, which acts like a filter. For instance, I can choose the vehicle type and say title filter on vehicle. And here it is. RSIs. I move here and click on save. And say something like okay, so if I move outside, so I go back to my document developments and I go to my folder, I find my composite document, I execute it, and I see all the widgets here. I can click on Bronx and I see that the map is updated accordingly. So I have a focus on the Bronx borough. I can select the vehicle type, and you notice that some of them are disabled because there is no bicycle accident in the Bronx borough. So I can select only between the options that are actually available. I can choose passenger vehicle, and everything is updated. If I want to remove the filter, I have here the selection buttons, and I delete the selections, and I go back to the former configuration. Here we go. I thank you for your attention, and I wish you a good day.